You hear that sound? That's the sound of random ass lure shaking side of a box that says, "I heart Kevin Van Dam." Well, this box is true, and it contains some interesting contents. I'm Coach Nick, your fishing coach, representing No Redemption Outdoors in a special we like to call Bassmaster or Bust. Inside this lovely box is a bunch of the most random ass lures you've ever seen, ever heard of. Some of them are wacky, some are wild, some are just simply unique. But the question is, are they Bassmasters or are they busts? In other words, are they meant to catch fish or just meant to catch the fishermen? Today we're gonna pull one out of the box. We're gonna test it out here on the water, real life practical experience. I'm gonna tell you what I think and whether it's a Bassmaster or a bust. Let's get into the box. All right, let's crack into this puppy, shall we? Bam! Ooh, that smells terrible. That would make Ron Jeremy blush. All right, what else we got here? All right, I found the one we're gonna use for today, and I'm gonna pick this one because I already have the correct rod and reel setup sitting right here in front of me. And that is this guy right here, the MUSTAD Scatter Shad Bladed Jig. Kind of a mouthful. All right, first impressions. I didn't know MUSTAD made lures. I've known them for hooks, things like the MUSTAD Triple Grips, which if you're not familiar with, get familiar. They're some of the best treble hooks on the market. This guy though, it looks to me just like a chatterbait, and I'm assuming that's basically what it is. But if we look on the back, let's see what it says here. It's got revolutionary new design features that could be important. Patented blade pivot system. I have a feeling that's what makes this possibly a little bit different. Maybe it's a little bit more free moving where that blade is at. It's just a theory. Premium skirts, big freaking deal. What does that even mean? Better silicone. Titan X Ultra Point hook. Some clever marketing basically to say really freaking sharp hook. One thing you can see, and we'll show this better on the package in a minute, is it does have a weed guard. I kind of like that, and I don't think I've seen that on any type of chatterbait lure. We got some weeds over here we might fish, that might come in handy. Double keeper collar. So that's if I'm gonna add a trailer, which I am, there's gonna be a double keeper to hang on to it nice and tight. So that's a nice feature. I see that a lot with saltwater lures that I fish. So that's the lure. We got MUSTAD Scatter Shad Bladed Jig, hooked on fishing. All right, let's check out the setup here, the rod and reel, what I'm gonna throw this on, and then we'll start throwing this guy around. All right, the artillery for today. We're looking at right here a Johnny Morris Bass Pro Shops Carbon Light 2.0. That is the rod and the reel. In terms of the statistics, we are looking at a 7-footer, and it's a medium heavy action. Not exactly the stiffest rod in the world, even though it is a medium heavy. This one's got a little whip to the end of it compared to some of my others, like my Abu Garcia. This reel, she's a fast one. This one happens to be, it even says super high speed. And this one, we gotta find the markings on here. Where does she say it?
One eternity later.
All right, there it is. It is 7.5 to 1. That's pretty fast. Not ludicrous. It's not like a Revo Rocket or anything like that, but it picks up some line pretty quick. Speaking of line, the line we're looking at here is fluorocarbon. Now, when I'm throwing something like a bladed jig like this or a spinnerbait, something with a single hook and a relatively large hook, I'm often going to opt for fluorocarbon. The reason is it does not stretch as much as monofilament. It's very sensitive, and I can deliver a good hook set with that lower stretch. It's not super clear water today. We actually just had some rain. You might even hear the thunder as we fish here off in the distance, but there's a little bit of kind of a tannic color, but even so, this makes it a little bit less visible to fish. It's kind of a nice thing. So 7 foot, medium heavy, 7.5 to 1. That's the setup, and we're gonna chuck this thing. Let's see what we can do. All right, it's out of the package here, and I did add one little tweak here. That is this guy right here. I threw a little trailer on there. That is a Zoom Swimming Super Fluke. This is the junior version, the low guy. but I think that makes a really good trailer. I actually fish bladed jigs out here a lot. The original chatterbait is my kind of go-to. Creates a little bit bigger profile, something for them to key in on. When you're talking about getting a strike, you want them to key on what area of the bait has the hook. If I put a trailer on there, that tends to be what they key in on. That tends to be what they hit quite hard. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, like we said too, it's got that weed guard. The cool paint job on this, I like the fact it's got a little, oops, hopefully you guys can see here, a little eye on there. And just a cool, very realistic paint job, little scale pattern as well. One feature, that full swiveling blade on this, what they talked about on the literature on the back, is this guy right here. It turns all the way around, 360 degrees. I don't know how that's gonna affect the action, but we're gonna find out, should be interesting. Maybe it's added action. Hopefully it doesn't mean the bait is gonna turn too much on me, but we're gonna test it and find out. Overall, first impressions, I like it. One added thing to pay attention to as well is the skirt itself. They said premium skirt, I would agree. And as you can see, it's molded into a piece of plastic right there. So the skirt itself, the fibers, are built into that, unlike just an O-ring. I've said on this channel before, I prefer those type of skirts on both my spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, really anything, because they tend to hold up better. The O-rings tend to deteriorate and dry rot and they fall off and you get a mess. These tend to stay together. So far Mustad, I'm impressed with some of the quality choices you guys have put into this lure. Let's throw it around a little bit. All right, we're right here over by the bog and this corner. We're gonna just start tossing it out a few times, see what the first impressions are. Cast quite well. I got my brake setting at about 4.5. I could probably tone them down a little bit, and I will in a moment here. All right, right off the bat, I'm feeling that thump, 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 thump. If you've ever thrown a chatterbait before, any type of bladed jig, you're gonna know there's a lot of vibration. Especially with fluorocarbon too, you feel every little bit of it. All right, let's turn the brakes down just a little bit. So far, I like the feel. I wouldn't say I noticed that much difference with that swiveling head. Maybe a little bit. I think it might move back and forth a little bit more. My theory, the fact that it's called a scatter version of a bladed jig, is that it's kind of like, if anybody knows, if you're familiar with the Rapala scatter wrap, that lure literally goes back and forth while wiggling at the same time. It scatters like a bait fish running away. And I think that's the intention of this lure. And I feel a little bit of that on the retrieve. It doesn't feel like it's coming quite as much of a beeline as, let's say, the regular chatterbait. Nothing doing here. Let's move down to bog a little bit. Familiar place. Let's see if we can find some fishies. All right, pretty spot to fish, especially with the sun going down here. We're gonna throw some deeper casts here along the edge, see what we can get. You know, the unfortunate reality is the places bass like to hang out are the same places that gators like to hang out. So we just try not to think about that when we're out here fishing too much. One thing I've had happen a couple times on the retrieve here is I've felt that blade stop. Now it is fairly shallow here, but I don't understand if that's me hitting the bottom or if it's a little bit too slow on the retrieve. I don't know. Nothing there either. Further down. Looking for gators. Please don't eat me. Now, if you remember, on Bassmaster or Bust, we don't necessarily have to catch something. The idea is whether we think it has the potential to catch a lot of fish. Oh, that was a hit right there. Confirmed. Saw the fish and everything. May have been a bigger fish too. It moved some wake. That should be a fish, but it wasn't. There's a rock pile right over there. Pretty well on it. All right, no luck on the coastline here. So we're gonna move back kind of where we started actually. There's a couple spots over there I fish a lot and lately I've had some good luck. So methinks the storms are brewing. Off in the distance, we can see definitely some rain falling, definitely some thunder I can hear. Nothing crazy yet, nothing I'm too worried about, and the house is right behind us, so we can get out of here if we need to. But we're gonna try this this little coastline here. So the other night when I came out here, as I said, I was fishing a chatterbait, very same idea as this. And I did well. I caught 5 in like 30 minutes. But I was fishing a lot at 45-degree angles off of the bank. They weren't real uptight, they weren't out in the middle, they were kind of in between. So that's what we're gonna try. Chatterbait, in case you're unfamiliar, it's a pretty complicated presentation, honestly. The idea is it's pretty complex. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna cast it out there, and then you're gonna reel it back in. Once you know that, you're gonna cast it out again, and then you're gonna reel it back in, and then eventually you'll probably catch something. All right, let's talk the real specifics of this guy real quick. Cast it out there. It was into the wind, no backlash, just saying. Anywho, we're gonna engage the reel, give it a couple tugs. Okay, that time, no issues. It engaged, I can feel that blade turning. Just like a regular chatterbait or any bladed jig, there's quite a bit of resistance in the water. It grabs a lot of water. Spinnerbaits do that too, especially ones with bigger blades. So you can feel it a lot. I don't feel as much side to side as I thought I would, a little bit. And again, I think that's kind of the scatter action that they're talking about and the design of that blade being able to turn. But it definitely does move lateral a little bit. Cast back out there again. Okay, straight tension, reeling. Okay, I feel it, lots of vibration. I'm watching my line a little bit too, and I can see it going back and forth, as well as having that thump, thump, thump. I would say that the blade doesn't give it off as much of a thump as, let's say, the original chatterbait. And one difference you'll notice too is it's completely flat. Chatterbait, some of the others, they have a little bit of bend in there, a little bit of dimension to it. This one does not. Cast straight out. All right, time to call it quits. And reason is I don't want to get struck by lightning, and I see some storm clouds brewing. Overall with this bait, I'm kind of on the fence. On the one hand, it does what it's supposed to do. It gives off that thump thump that a chatterbait does. It's got a nice skirt, it's got a nice blade, it's got the weed guard, which is kind of cool. That being said, compared to other bladed jigs I've used, like the original chatterbait, if I gotta pick one, I'm probably gonna go with one of those. That's my go-to, and I don't feel quite as confident. And a big part of that is the fact that that blade either kept stopping or it was moving slower, or in some other way, shape, or form, I was no longer feeling that bait in the water, and I didn't feel like the bait was doing what it was supposed to. So I'm gonna go for a different brand if I'm gonna go that route. Now, that being said, the overall task was not necessarily to catch fish, it was to get a proof of concept and make a decision. Is this a Bassmaster or a bust? And the answer is, it is a Bassmaster. Here's why. Though I think there may be other choices that I prefer, I think on the right day, this very well could be the right bait to throw. That little bit more erratic side-to-side movement could be the answer to getting that extra strike. The design of the lure is great. It's a concept that's proven to be very successful, kind of the spinnerbait 2.0 of this generation, and they work. They catch fish all over the place. So this one wasn't earth-shatteringly different than anything on the market. It was just a little different take on things that already exist. So for that reason, it is a Bassmaster. I can't give it an A. I'm gonna give it a B-. Again, because of that blade and that kind of weird feeling. Now, if you guys have ever fished this guy before, please, in the comment section below, tell me, was I right? Was I wrong? Are there better alternatives? There's tons of different brands that make bladed jigs, but I want your feedback. And if you just started throwing it, let me know, did I fish it wrong? Is there a different line or rod size or gear ratio I should have been throwing? Put that in the comment section below, and maybe throw us a picture of your biggest fish on some type of bladed jig. I'm Coach Nick, your fishing coach with No Redemption Outdoors, and that was Bassmaster or Bust.